And here we have some references. The bottomless pit, the meaning of this term may be learned from the Greek, which is defined deep, bottomless, profound, and may refer to any waste, desolate, and uncultivated place. It is applied to the earth in its original state of chaos in Genesis chapter 1. This leader in the fifth trumpet has the key to the abyss, the arsenal of Satan. What does the key represent? It represents power or authority, the ability to unlock, to free, or release. What does he release? He releases smoke that darkens the sun and air. The sun, of course, represents Christ, the light of the world. It also represents truth. And we also found that in Trumpets 1 to 4, that the sun was also the leadership of the time, the emperor. And that is also something else that this power did. It darkened the effect of the emperor that was now remaining in the east. It also represents truth. Under this trumpet, a leader is given the key to release from the arsenal of Satan falsehood and error that would darken the light of the gospel, that would obscure Jesus Christ, the light of the world. These points give us a clue as to where to search for the fulfillment of this prediction. Just as the gospel of Jesus is well described as light to the world, so this religion is well described as darkness. Jesus taught us to seek peace and love our enemies. This darkness teaches men that war and killing their enemies is the highest and the best thing they can do for their God. Christianity was never to be forced on people, but Muhammad taught that all should be forced to obey his religion or they should be killed. These people were taught that to die in battle while forcing people to worship Muhammad or Allah as they call their God was the best thing they could ever do. They were told that they'd then go straight to a wonderful place where they would have all kinds of beautiful women and fancy food to eat forever. So they were happy to make war and didn't mind getting killed, fighting for their faith. This smoke made it almost impossible for people taught like this to see the light of Jesus' gospel or breathe the pure air of Bible truth. Jesus longs to have these people blinded by the smoke to come to him and be saved. A historian of the Near East, without a thought of this Bible prediction, when he described the rise of Muhammad, used language very similar to that of the fifth trumpet. Writing of the inspirer of the desert tribes of Arabia, he declared, "At that juncture, however, like a meteorite from the blue, came into the world a new religion, a religion primarily of power and not of love, a militant fanaticism appealing to the evil which lies in men, and only partly to the good." William S. Davis, A Short History of the Near East. The Arabs had languished in poverty and contempt till Muhammad breathed into those savage hordes the soul of enthusiasm. Edward Gibbon, Decline and Fall. They broke out among the nations of Asia that mighty conflagration whose flames were scattered over the terrified globe by the sons of the desert, guided by their new prophet of unbelief, philosophy of history. The key. Did Muhammad actually possess a key? It is significant to notice that Perion in his essay on this question says this: the Quran, which is the Muslim Bible, continually speaks of the key of God which opened to them the gates of the world and of religion. So in the Quran, did not God give to his legate Muhammad the power of heaven which is above and fire which is beneath? With the key, did he not give him the title and power of a porter, that he may open to those whom he shall have chosen? Perons, Isaiah, page 189. The key was also a result of the battle and war between Persia and Rome. Persia was defeated, but Rome became strengthless in this winning of the battle. This all culminated in the Battle of Nineveh. Because of this prolonged war, both Rome and Persia became so weak that it allowed a power vacuum where Muhammad was able then to rise up with his followers, so that as they started invading, neither Rome or Persia had enough power to stop him. So this allowed Islam to arise with little resistance. So this also acted like a key to allow Muhammad to open up the gates of Arabia. Also notice what happens when the sun goes dark. What do you have left? You have the moon and you have the stars. And this is exactly the symbol we find in Islam, the moon and the star. Revelation chapter 9 verse 3. And they came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. Here we see two more symbols that make us think of the deserts. The locusts that will come out of the deserts at certain times and eat up all the crops, and the scorpion, a nasty poisonous creature like a long-tailed spider with a sting that will strike with the sting in his tail, and it would hurt. The Bible employs the locust as a symbol of the Arab. Speaking of the Midianite Arabs, it says this in Judges chapter 6 verse 5. They came as grasshoppers or locusts for multitude. And in Judges chapter 7:12, Midianites and the Amalekites, Arab tribes, lay along the valley like grasshoppers or locusts for multitude. Notice the statement by Forster concerning the Arabs. In the Bedouin romance of Antar, the locust is introduced as the national emblem of the Ishmaelites, Mohammedanism unveiled. Edward Gibbon, quoting Volney, the most judicious of our Syrian travellers, declared, the inhabitants of Syria have remarked that locusts come constantly from the deserts of Saudi Arabia. A famous traveller of last century named Niebuhr, in his journeyings through Arabia, described the appearance of the swarms of locusts that afflict that particular area of the world. The swarms of these insects darken the air and appear at a distance like clouds of smoke. And here we see some pictures of locusts. Look how dark it looks. And here we see an interesting chart. This shows where we find locusts and where we find Muslims. And you see that in the same areas where here we see we have the area of locusts, and notice where the Muslim areas are here. We see that where the Muslims have overtaken, we find that's where the locusts are from. Muhammad was alike instructed to preach and to fight, and the union of these opposite qualities contributed to his success. His voice invited the Arabs to freedom and victory, to arms and rapine, to the indulgence of their darling passions in this world and the next. From all sides the roving Arabs were allured to the standard of religion and plunder. The apostles sanctified the license of embracing the female captives as their wives or concubines. The sword, says Muhammad, is the key of heaven and of hell. A drop of blood shed in the cause of God, a night spent in arms is of more avail than 2 months of fasting or prayer. Whosoever falls in battle, his sins are forgiven. At the day of judgment, his wounds shall be resplendent as vermilion, and odoriferous as musk, and the loss of his limbs shall be supplied by angels and cherubim. The intrepid souls of the Arabs were fired with enthusiasm. The picture of the invisible world was strongly painted on their imagination, and the death which they had always despised became an object of hope and desire. The Quran inculcates in the most absolute sense the tenets of fate and predestination. The practical result was the inspiration of a magnificent but terrible courage. Arab warriors went into battle convinced that their lifespan was so definitely determined that whether they stayed at home or went to the fight, their fate will surely overtake them. The warrior who dies in battle is sure of paradise. The first companions of Muhammad advanced to battle with a fearless confidence. There is no danger where there is no chance. They were ordained to perish in their beds, or they were safe and invulnerable amidst the darts of the enemy. Edward Gibbon's Decline and Fall. Chapter 9 verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass or the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. The seal of God, what is the seal of God? Green things here means God's true people who were not attacked by this power, but those that had not God's seal, referred to apostate Christendom. It says, do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. Revelation chapter 7, verse 3. Abu Bakr was the successor of Muhammad